So I've been giving a great deal of thought to what I have learned in EdTech 300. I always thought that I was pretty tech savvy. I remember getting a computer right away early in the 90s. It was giant, it was gray, it made all kinds of sounds when it was starting up, and it took at least 2 minutes for it to start up. I remember using DOS to try and code things in my computer. When talking about coding recently, it made me think back to that. Learning things about phishing and how my identity could be used in different ways, as well as all of these things that have kind of developed from the original chat rooms that I remember doing when I was in grade 7, similar age to Amanda Todd, and how those have developed with the advent of the web count. Now, things such as the Monica Lewinsky, or as one article framed it, Monica-thon. I remember that going on. Most of what I remember was there was a sex scandal that was huge, and there was this woman who probably just wanted to advance her career by sleeping with the President of the United States. That's what I remember. But how the world had basically torn her life apart and slut-shamed her for that she had made the mistake of falling in love with her boss, and that her life had been taken apart because of this, because it had become so public. Twitter is another thing that I had used in the past, but mostly just for the purpose of, maybe following a celebrity or two. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought of using Twitter for education, and specifically for networking with other educators and furthering my education career. Using the hashtags and engaging in the Twitter chat. Oh my goodness, that was actually kind of exciting. I actually found those really neat and really cool to really engage with educators around the world. I had used LinkedIn quite a bit for trying to network in the ESL community. However, that more so for getting a job, whereas Twitter is more about networking. Since starting this course, something that has changed is my LinkedIn account is deleted now. The whole idea of online versus offline presence and, the whole, being in the moment and everything like that. Now that is something that I kind of struggled with. My largest online presence is actually on Instagram. That one because I'm actually trying to get sponsored with my powerlifting, so I have to be constantly posting with that. However, when you Google search me, my Instagram does not come up. I'm okay with it. The idea of being offline has been almost romanticized to the whole being off the grid. However, it's not necessarily the case anymore. Example that we looked at in class, even if you are completely out, you're not online, the world still continues to turn, and the online world still continues to go to the point where, it doesn't matter if you're off the grid or not, your online presence is still there. Number 5, the digital etiquette, I thought was extremely important because this is something that as an educator I want to instill and help my students to understand. Really examining this in turn helps minimize online bullying. Etiquette is not just being friendly, but it's also having your guard up. I hate to say it, but in this day and age, especially in the online world, you need to be cautious of who you are communicating with, what you are telling people, and what type of persona you are putting out there. Looking at the internet and actually looking at some of the sites that are out there, it almost makes me think, oh, this is what the dark web is. But, it's like, really, really not. I would not even know how to access the dark web. I would get eaten alive, I have no doubt. And even in this gray web of these different sites that are really kind of shady, actually, but are used to a large extent by adolescents and preteens, they're being used so much that this is something that as a educator I need to be aware of as well. The digital communication is so important where you want to be careful of what you are sending out there. what information you're giving to someone else. And I don't just mean, your address and things like that. Of course, you don't give out your address to random people on the internet, even if they seem trustworthy. You just don't do it. Looking back at some of the Chrome extensions, some of them are actually really awesome that I have been using, such as the distraction-free YouTube. It's actually kind of weird not seeing the suggested videos. Also, when you open a new tab in Chrome, that I have made very good use of using my Doctor Who love, as well. Even Wakelet I've been trying to use, but actually I keep forgetting. That is one that I discovered. You can add that to your list, Katya. The Great Suspender I think is really good, because right now I have 10 tabs open in Chrome and I do not know why. In order to really get myself ready past this course, I do have a plan to do the Google Educator Level 1 course. It doesn't actually cost anything to do this course. You have to pay something like $10 to take the test. Level 1 is probably a lot of things that I know, but as I discovered in this class, probably a lot that I don't know as well. I do want to talk about my learning project a little bit, because I wasn't really sure how it was going to go. I really wanted to commit myself to actually trying to get better and improve myself. Now, I may not have used the internet as well as I could have through doing these paintings, but you can definitely see, if not improvement in actual talent, I think there is an improvement in technique. I didn't really think about it, but I had water in my first painting and water in my last painting, and you can see the difference between the two. I also have invested a lot of money in supplies. I want to keep doing this. I'm already planning on what my next painting is going to be. This is something that, as well as technology, that I can include the tutorials that are being done in my classroom for my students. And because Painting with Jane is so good and she has the live videos, there is a possibility that my students can interact with someone on the internet in that way and get that experience and get that exposure.